So my name is Rontheron Ratliff. I'm a local sculptor, um, artist. I do graphic designs, fabrication. Yeah, I mean, I dabble in anything kind of creative and tactile, I guess, you know. But right now, I'm just a full-time practicing studio artist, working in kind of the contemporary art track, you know. I got into sculpture through Yaya. I guess one of my first experience was a project that was commissioned by the Vieux Carré, and we collaborated with local artist, the late John Scott. And so working on that project, I mean, I learned a lot about like fabrication and stuff like that. And so just, I mean, visiting John Scott's studio, like, and seeing where he worked and listening to him talk about, you know, his practice and how he got to be where he was at the time, you know, was just kind of inspirational for me. It was like this pivotal moment for me to kind of like look around and see like, man, this is, I don't know, you know, what this is or how he got here, but this is what I want, you know. My grandmother's birthday was sort of like just that weekend, and so a lot of family members were in town, but then there was all this like, oh, it's gonna be bad, everybody should leave, and so, and she was one of the locals that would like kind of just, you know, had seen enough storms and kind of had this sort of understanding of riding it out, or, you know, it's like, and so we're like, no, you know, so my aunt was down from Maryland, and so we all convinced her to go with her, and it was like, well, look, I'll be here, I'll look on the house, you know, looking on the house. And so it was a little scary because it's like, I really don't know how to swim. And so it wasn't until like, I was like sliding across the like roofs of like cars and like, you know, scraping like the tops of like little tree bushes, you know, that I realized like how deep the water is, you know, and it was like, oh, okay. I get my grandmother's house and I'm starting to bring like cases of water out. And when I opened the front door, there was like this sort of beam of light, the sunlight that kind of cut through the door and through the water that was still in the house. And the water was all kind of like gray brown, like kind of murky water, so you couldn't really see through it. But when the sun kind of cut through it, and all the furniture was floating. Like, she had a lot of wooden furniture, and so it was all just kind of floating and bobbing around with the motion of the water. And so what ended up happening was, in the end tables were a lot of like family photographs, and as they toppled over, the photographs just spread out. And so yeah, the sunlight allowed me to see the photographs. So I started to like collect them, and seeing like, you know, parties of like cousins and things like that. It was in that moment that sort of the reality of sort of what this sort of disaster means for like me and my family, like it hit home in that moment, you know? And I felt it like in my knees, you know? It's like I bent down to grab the photographs, and it was like, I don't know, it was like, you know, my heart, like, I don't know, skipped a beat, my knees got weak, you know? It's like, whoa, you know, what is this, you know? And then I like went down to grab like another pile, you know, and I'm like kind of looking, you know, trying to stack them together, and it was the same thing. It was like, oh man, my knees, you know, feel like I'm about to pass out, you know? And I think it was just like rush of emotion of like what, you know, the potential of what this loss means, you know? Leaving New Orleans, traveling afterwards, you know, you tell someone, oh, you know, you're from New Orleans, and they're like, oh, were you there, or did you, or, you know, how was it? And so I would kind of sort of rotate through which story I was going to tell, like each time, you know. And what I started doing was trying to figure out how to create visuals for these stories, you know? And so Things That Float was kind of based on sort of the furniture that was in my grandmother's house, just kind of the bed, the like chifforobe, all the like sofa, it was just floating around. But, you know, I mean, before the water, these seem to be these like really heavy, dense kind of pieces, the objects, you know, and, but then like photographs are like little slivers of paper that, you know, I mean, that you would sort of expect to see, I don't know, floating, you know. And so, but they were the things that kind of, I mean, I guess once the water saturated them, it was like, you know, at the bottom, you know, of the water. So when it came to making art about it, I was like, well, this is the one that sort of like scares me the most to really like talk about, because it was like, I don't know, just faced with sort of raw emotions. So I was like, all right, maybe I should do that one, you know?